Time for another news video, guys. There is a huge amount to go over, both new games, brand new announcements that are coming next month, so like quick on the gun there, and even something I want to talk about that will be affecting probably many of your games. You should definitely pay attention to this one because it's probably going to affect a lot of what you've backed. Alright, starting things out with one that launched that I missed. This is Blood Throne, the Tower of Sacrifice. This is actually by Frontline Gaming, and it's ironic that I missed this because I had it on my 2024 video that I'll now need to adjust because it's a little late and so stuff's already launching. This is by Frontline Gaming, which I actually have several like gaming mats for Warhammer 40,000 from them. They actually make great neoprene mats at a pretty good price actually too. They come in little carrying cases that have like a picture of it on there. Super convenient because otherwise you don't know what the heck's in there. You gotta open each one up. It'd be super annoying. They do really good on that. They do a good job. This game looks super cool. This campaign looks super bad. So let's go ahead and discuss. 250 backers, 61,942 raised out of their 50,000 goal. Whether or not the 50,000 goal is right or not, God only knows. But either way, let's try and dig through this. I'm going to try and inform you more than the campaign. Actually, I guarantee I will. So let's go ahead and dive in. This is 1 to 7 players, 60 to 120 minutes. That seemed arbitrary, and ages 12 and up, which again are kind of arbitrary there, of course, as well. The 1 to 7 players is unusual for a co-op kind of campaign skirmish game kind of thing going on. It's interesting. It's interesting. They're calling it, I think, like an RPG kind of game, but it's different. Okay, so what's going on? First of all, this ruins my dark mode, so I am going to have to go into light mode for a little bit for you guys, just so you can see the text. Pro tip, don't just assume that every browser is going to show white and have it transparent. If you want it over white, make the image white. It doesn't hurt your white at all, but then it does make it to where my my dark mode messes up. So now that we can read what's going on, what is going on, we get these two little maps here. It looks like a campaign map here that includes reusable stickers, right? You have to kind of read this little text to find out a little bit about the game. So there's reusable stickers in that, I guess. Here's where you can see that there's 36 unique narrative linked missions. I saw a comment asking how many missions there were because the only place you see it is right here in this tiny little text here. So if you don't read that, you don't know. A quick play guide and then one game board. It's 30 inches by 30 inches. Interior and exterior aesthetics. I don't know if it's just the other side is the interior or what. I'm not exactly sure. I'm assuming that's what it is. Then you have 14 hero miniatures. They don't say what these miniatures are made out of, and they don't show these good yet on this page. Again, I'll show them to you. They actually look amazing, but I don't know what they're made out of. Are they HIPs? Are they PVC? Are they ABS? I don't know. That's important. And then 14 modular hero boards, and it tracks like your characters, stuff like this. Includes 12 color-coded hero boxes to hold cards, tokens, and loot. This seems kind of like an odd choice. The color-coded part of it. There's 14 of them, one for each miniature or hero. And each hero is like a unique kind of class or whatever, which is kind of cool, I guess. But it's just the color difference, really, as far as I can tell. Plus the cards, but this like kind of expensive dual layer board here, I think is just a color thing. I think they probably could have done just the 7 for the 7 players, and then you just stick whatever characters in there. It's whatever, I suppose. Then you have cards and tokens, measuring widgets, dice, stuff like that. They don't show this very well. When it comes to like it says here, hundreds of cards and tokens, but they don't. I mean, it looks very sparse, and you really want to show the amount of content you're giving people, not just explain the amount of content you're giving people. Otherwise, they're going to think that they're not getting a whole lot because it doesn't look like there's a whole lot here. Just something to kind of note there. Then you get dozens of monster tokens. Again, they show like, 6, but whatever. 28 miniatures. Note that there are 17 types of miniatures, so the rest are like repeats, like this right here, right? Or like this guy right here. So there are repeats. There's about 17 monsters. There's been questions on whether or not that's enough. You have to be the judge of that, of course. And then 17 monster cards, one for each type. And then 25 pop-up terrain. That's pretty cool, I think, assuming the pop-up actually looks as good as that. And kind of iffy, who knows? And then pledge tiers. Here's the first warning. I guess there's already been a warning sign. Here's the second warning sign. $199 for the core game. So what you saw right here, $199. That's rough. Now, if these are resin, that's not actually that bad. If these are hips, that's actually not that bad. If these are PVC or even ABS, that seems kind of pricey. Even with the pop-up terrain and stuff like that, that's expensive. Then they have a Gorgontis expansion for $60. This is the single miniature and some cards and some tokens. Or you can get the hero expansion for $80, which doubles the amount of heroes. 14 new heroes, again, all with like unique skills and classes and stuff like that. $250 if you want the main game plus that one, or the hero bundle $275 if you want all of them. It's $335, and if you want the premium bundle, it's $500. So what does the premium bundle add? Well, it adds this gaming mat A and gaming mat B. So you get both these gaming mats, which just, again, I think just changed the bottom portion of it. Their mats are really nice. These are purposely built for it, so they have the little squares and stuff like that, I think. And then the pop-up terrain is an undamaged aesthetic. So you get kind of, essentially, it looks like you double up on it, but it's like the non-damaged version of what you normally get. And then there's a few videos new to Kickstarter. I'll show on some of the minis of the heroes. As you can see, they actually look super dynamic and really great. They're actually designed by Creature Caster, just designed. They're not, otherwise not involved. So if you have some bad experience with Creature Caster on their previous campaigns, just know that all they did was sculpt these minis here. And they do look fantastically sculpted, by the way. Like, these look really, really cool. Like, I like all of these. There's a Demon Hunter, looks freaking sweet. That bear looks freaking sweet, and the Shaman. Alchemist, they got a Barbarian, they got the Druid here. A lot of them are 2 minis, as you can see, actually. That's a freaking sweet Dwarf Druid. The Warlord here looks cool. The expansion heroes add more like the Transmuter or the Dark Knight with like a bug helmet looking kind of thing. Looks freaking sweet. The Sorcerer, the Monk looks awesome. Arcane Trickster. You have the Gambler. That looks like a lot of fun. Of course, there's the Demon Hunter looking awesome. As always, the Artificer. So they got some really, really cool minis for sure. Now, they are making this quick. According to them, they're like already ready to kind of go. And so Pledge Manager begins March, Wave 1 production begins in April, freight shipping begins in July, and then Wave 1 fulfillment November of this year, with Wave 2 January the next year, so just a few months later. Now, what's in Wave 1 versus Wave 2? Honestly, you'd kind of have to like look into a little bit more, but this right here is the second rough part. Maybe the third rough, fourth rough, I don't know, one of the rough parts here. Shipping. USA, woohoo, $15 core box, $15 hero, $15. Guys, unless you're getting the premium, it's going to cost you 15 buckaroos. Freaking sweet. Those freedom dollars go a long ways in here. Sadly, those that don't use their freedom dollars, it looks like hot garbage, you guys. I'm not going to lie. Canada, I mean, they got like the fake dollar, so I'm okay with that. The UK, $70 for the core box. $221 for the premium bundle. You go to the Australia, $246. The EU, $136. The rest of EU, $172. And then it's like, it's. And then on top of that, customers are responsible for paying any and all like VAT and taxes and stuff like that. It means, if I go to community here, almost everybody is in the US, which makes sense. These guys either didn't look or don't care, which is fine. I mean, you guys spend your money on whatever you want, but dear Lord, that is expensive. So they definitely, I think, need to solve that shipping thing, or they're just not going to get the, you may as well just launch USA only. I mean, at that point, it's kind of crazy. Okay, let's look at the updates, because the updates, thankfully, show some great looking pictures. Look at these monsters. What, like, if they have this picture, why is this not on the main page? These look, look at this. Creature Caster did a look at this guy, a fantastic job on these minis. Now, these look like resin prototype minis, which is totally fine. But again, like, what is the final thing? I don't know. Is it going to be hips? Is it going to be resin? Who knows? I'm not sure. But they do look freaking sweet. They look great. Now, somebody in here asked, they're like, hey, could I look at the monster boards and cards? And so sure enough, they're like, hey, here's some monster cards. Again, something super useful to actually see, because one of the cool things to see is this flowchart. I really like this flowchart for the AI. I think that actually works really well. I've seen enough Visio charts to like read this easily, and it makes sense. Has this model used cryodefiance? No. Use cryodefiance? Yes. Okay, is the model engaged in a hero? Yes or no? And then it says what it does, right? And so we're like, well, what's cryodefiance? Well, it's right here. Special ability, cryodefiance. It's a shout action. It automatically succeeds. This model heals itself for 5 HP, and this can grant them temporary HP, so they can actually be higher. You can see the tier they are, the mob size, the initiative, their HP, I'm assuming at different levels, all the different stats. It looks like it's actually done pretty well. Like, not bad. This looks like a legit game with some interesting AI and some cool, different effects that they can do and stuff like that. That's awesome. I think that's great. And it supports up to 7 players. Not a lot of games do that in this style. So you can actually see a place on it on your shelf. The price is crazy. The shipping's crazy. The information is lackluster. And that's what's kind of the bummer here, is that you have games and you have campaigns. And sadly, if you make the game bad and the campaign good, you can still sell plenty. If you make the game good and the campaign bad, you often can't sell your game very well. And if they're both good, then everybody wins. And if they're both bad, then what the heck does it matter? But it is kind of unfortunate that without the campaign being solid, you're going to struggle. This should honestly, if it had a better price or a better excuse for its price and showed it better and everything, this should be higher. This is actually pretty different. With the 3D terrain, it kind of sets it apart. Those fancy minis are freaking fancy. Like, those are great looking minis. That sets it apart. Honestly, the AI system seems pretty cool. I think a lot of people might like that it supports up to 7 players. That's also pretty cool. But it doesn't do a good job of sharing that and showing that. That's kind of unfortunate. Hopefully I helped explain a little bit. I don't know if that helps you at all or not. I don't know if it helps them at all or not, but it's out there now. Okay, moving on from that. Quick update on Conan. They're at almost 600,000, over 4,000 a race, still 9 days to go. This is a quick campaign, so if you want it, now's the time to get it. And they did explain, by the way, they did clarify, if you get the King expansion, you'll have everything. So I think it's slightly different. The reason I say is because I had the retail version and traded it for the King version core box because it actually had more stuff in it. It had a few more minis and stuff like that. So what they're saying is essentially this will get you everything, don't worry. So that's good to know. Let's look at their stretch goals real quick to see what's going on here. I kind of shared this. What's new is they did unlock a 3D pillar scenery. I always like adding some scenery there. It's fun. They added all the solo and co-op for all of the All King plush scenarios. That's 16 new ones. That's a ton. That's pretty cool. I haven't looked into the rule set for the solo co-op, so I can't comment too much on that yet. They added more hidden chambers. That's nice to see. And then they're doing these printed hero sheets for the skirmish version. But the next big, and those are like social shares. The next big money one is crocodiles, which my wife will love. She loves crocodiles, and also doesn't love crocodiles because they're scary like death machines. But honestly, super cool. You get 5 of them, which is going to be awesome, I think. Can't wait to fight those guys. I think that'll be great. So anyway, that's it on that. Otherwise, everything's the same. I'm going to take you to the Game Crafter. I love taking you to the Game Crafter because I think they have one of the best crowdfunding systems around, and it's super cool to see something, I think, succeeding quite well. This is Tin Realm. Now, I should explain a little bit first, but right now, 936 copies sold. They're at 20,923 raised, and they have about 6 days left to go. Now, you're going to see a lot of this kind of stuff. You're wondering what's going to go on. I'm going to explain the game in a bit, but I should explain this because this is probably the first time some of you are seeing the Game Crafter. The Game Crafter, what it does is it actually makes games. This is, in fact, what I think most crowdfunding should be when it comes to the bare minimum. So often you'll see stuff like Conan, and Conan here has a goal of $218,090 for the goal. Now, for Monolith, I think that makes sense. You need a certain amount of operating business as a business to actually even warrant something, right? In other words, even if you make money, if you don't make enough money, it doesn't really matter. Hopefully that makes sense. In other words, hey, I made $100, but okay, great. That's good. That's $100 profits. We paid the bills, but that doesn't mean we can expand as a business. It doesn't mean that was the right thing to do. Maybe we could have made 200 doing something else. etc., right? But when it comes to the actual minimum goal, most of Kickstarter and most of GameFound and most of BackerKit and most board gamers think that the minimum viable product is a Chinese mass market manufacturing with injection molds and that, print 10,000 copies and all that. And it boggles my mind that worldwide shipping, mass market created in China is the minimum people put. That shouldn't be. That should be a stretch goal. Get up to that point. Or to think that if I don't sell thousands of my game, I don't want to make it at all, also seems silly to me. You can make it cheaper, per copy on something like the Game Crafter. So what the Game Crafter does is it just makes games. So you can design your game and make it. And you kind of ship it around. Now, it's not as worldwide, right? And it's not as cheap as mass market China, but you can do much smaller quantities. One of the cool things, though, and this is fantastic, and I wish, I want GameFound to be able to support this. Alex, if you're watching this, make this happen. If you're not watching this, somebody get Alex. Okay, so what this does is the more you sell, the cheaper it becomes because of, obviously, quantities of order. So if you get if you get, one of them, you're buying it at $21.99. If you manage to sell 50 of them, it's only $18.96 for each person. If they get to 1,000 or more, they get a 41% discount, and it's now only $13.62, which, as you can see, they are quite close to, which is why I'm showing this to you guys as well. If they reach 1,000, if you actually support Ten Realm here, from Grey Gnome Games, then you can actually get it for cheaper than it started at, which makes sense. And it also means that not only you're rewarded, and, the more they drum up, the better. But it also means that they didn't have to waste time doing stretch goals and breaking the game or designing too much all this stretch goal bonanza stuff. Instead, this is the game. This is what they created. And the more people that buy it, the cheaper they all pay for it. I think that's awesome. I think that's sweet. So what is 10 Realms? Well, it comes in their little 10, right? It's a whole bunch of cards that essentially make different. That looks freaking sweet, by the way. But as you can see, this is the map that you follow, and then you have a terrain looking straight at it like that, and you're building out a tableau system. But you have 3 different people that you can be. So you can be the dwarf, wood elf, or dweller, and they are the ranger, hedge mage, and sentinel, and they have different abilities and things they can do and stuff like that. It's one of those games where there's a lot packed into this tin, right? So it's mostly cards, but through that and through game design, they're actually doing all sorts of different game mechanics and stuff that you're doing with that, which is pretty cool. It also works with, I think, Tin Head was the first one that he did. Tin Head. What the heck is that? Which I'm sure you can get here from the Game Crafter if you wanted to. So you can get both games and combine them. They also do some promos. I showed this at one point. And I think I showed this one at one point. So I showed several of his games. He seems to be doing pretty well here. I say he because I know he was in this video here. I don't know if there's more to Grey Gnome Games than that. I don't want to shortchange him at all. But either way, I think that's awesome. You could maybe get this for $13, guys, and you support a person who's just trying to create their game and share it with people in a responsible way. I think it's awesome. Feel free, again, check it out in the link in the description below, along with everything else. And congrats on the 20,000 raised. That is freaking awesome. Okay, so moving on from that, we have Altered TCG, which again, I had noted here, but it's coming out very soon. And so I wanted to mention it because it will come out in January, even though, again, it's going to be my big 2024 video that is still coming. I do promise it's just a lot of editing and stuff like that. 5,800 are backing it. It has some interesting things for TCG. It also has some information I definitely need. So here's a website for it. Coming out January 30th, by the way. Again, link down below, of course. The art style looks great. It's bright. It's vibrant. One of the things they focus on is optimistic world. It's not like grimdark or anything like that. I love my grimdark, but I love this too. This looks like a lot of fun. It says it's universal. It has a big on community and stuff like that. One of the cool things, and they talk about modern gameplay with the mana ramp system and stuff like that, turns going very quickly and stuff. Now, it doesn't go into necessarily detail on how the cards like actually, interact and stuff like that. From what it looks like, they don't have a lot of text on them, but there's some here. So I don't know. We'll see how it plays, I guess. That's kind of the big thing there. When it comes to like, how like the rarity and stuff like that, it says each card in the game is available up to 3 different rarities based on their types. Rarity featuring altered illustrations, so that's kind of nice to see. And there's a unique card in every 8 boosters, so I guess that's nice as well. One of the cool things here is this right here. So essentially, you scan your cards, and then you can see there's a little QR code that's actually grabbing on the card, and that gives it to you digitally. And not only that, but you can print any of your digital cards. So if it's stolen, damaged, lost, anything like that, you can get it printed and sent to you. You can get a new one. Or do you want to print all your cards in foil? You can do that. This is a very cool system. Now, I don't know how this necessarily works. Could you scan your friends' cards and essentially get those as well? Could you, sell your card and then print another one and then you have both? I don't know exactly how that works because they have the booster packs, which makes it kind of a trading, collectible kind of game. But at the same time, that almost defeats I don't know how that works, but it's cool. I'm glad they're doing it. I think that's awesome. I wish them the best of luck. Either way, there's some interesting things going on here. So, yeah, that's coming out the 30th. Can't wait to see more. Next up, we also had Aeon's End, The Descent announced. This is coming February 6th, so very, very early February. Wanted to let you know now, just because it's fairly new here. Only 1,000 people have followed. I'm sure that number will go up. If you didn't know, Aeon's End is essentially a deck building game. You can, play through it in different ways, of course. One of the things they're adding here is a Friends and Foe module. This is by David Turetsky, which I know a lot of you guys love. This one adds helpful allies and then also these elemental tokens as well that you can place on minions and nemesis. And then when they resolved, they actually give you a positive effect like Electrify, gain 1 charge, or Venom, deal 2 damage, stuff like that, which is pretty darn cool. If you're new to Aeon's End, you can obviously look into it here. It's a pretty expansive game series at this point. Either way, pretty cool. Link down below. Hopefully you like it. Now, some updates. Dune, War of Arrakis has a problem. The problem is that apparently a lot of people, I don't know if it's necessarily a lot, it seems like it's a lot, they're acting like it's a lot, are getting plastic tokens that vary in color. And the problem is that some of these plastic tokens should have hidden information, and if the color is different, you can learn what the color is and then know what the token is when you shouldn't, right? That's bad. So how did that happen? They actually kind of explain this. And before I dive into this more, I just want to say that I love that Conan is like, this is a great update from Conan. This reads like a real person wrote this. Hopefully that makes sense. Like it's personable. They're explaining it like a real person would to other real people. I like it. I love this. I think they did a great job with this. This is awesome. One of the things they said is essentially they divvied it out in multiple molds to print them all at the same time to print it faster. But the problem is that even though when they got their copy, it was fine. When you did it on thousands of people, there was some discrepancies. And so some people got, essentially it was lighter purple here and a different purple here kind of thing, right? So what they're doing is all the ones that are in light color have to be in one mold, which means they need to make new molds. Then they need to print them out, and then they're going to ship them to everybody that needs them, which is very expensive and time consuming to do, obviously. But it is awesome that they're taking care of you guys. It's great that they're rectifying it, and that sucks. Either way, they're expecting it to arrive around April, and just know that this is going to cost them some money. One of the benefits of making sure that you're happy a company is making money is they can then use that money to treat you right when you need to. It's kind of the more basic thing where it's like you can pay dirt cheap, but don't expect a lot of support, right? This happens with airline tickets, right? This happens with almost everything in life, right? Where it's like, it was a cheaper, to buy, but you don't get all of the niceties around it. One of the nice things about dealing with a company that does have money, that, is making money, and it's a good thing they're making money, is they can make it right when something like this happens. If this was a indie dev, or if they were edging by on giving you the best deal ever doesn't include this, right? This includes profits being used here. And I think it's good that they're able to do it. They're even showing you the mold that they're making, stuff like that. That's awesome. This is what they'll be sending out. I think that's great. That's super cool. Good on Command for that. Well done on the update. Well done on the fix. That's awesome. Next up, Homeworld. There's a Homeworld update because there is now a 7-page errata. You can see it here. Here's everything that they've kind of fixed so far. My understanding this was quite needed in the game, and the game was kind of in a rough state without this. Now, I'm glad they did this. Don't get me wrong. It's great to support your game afterwards instead of just shotgunning it out there and then walking away. The problem is shotgunning it out there and then fixing it after the fact. This is not a digital thing where you can just patch it day 1 or patch it day 5 or whatever. Not only have many people probably already played Homeworld and either written it off as a bad game if they didn't like this with the errata, or they even maybe sold it because they didn't like it because it needed errata and it wasn't there. But now the errata is there, but it's 7 pages long, which means it's changing things from what was printed and stuff. The time to do an errata is before, so you don't need the errata. In other words, dot all your I's, cross all your T's. This is not to Modifius. This is to any developer out there. Make sure you do it right and then press the print button. It is better to delay and deliver a good product than to get it out quickly and deliver a bad product that needs fixing afterwards. Because fixing it afterwards, this errata, doesn't actually fix it. It doesn't change the printed materials, right? It doesn't change people's first impressions of the game. That's already now wasted, and now it's this. So it's great that they did this. Props for them for doing this. That's great. That's awesome. But ideally, this is done before you print. Okay, next up, Primal, and one of the biggest updates here. And then there's 2 more little quick things. So yeah, they charge shipping. I'm going to have an unboxing soon. I've already recorded it. It's going to be edited. You should see it here very shortly on the channel. Subscribe if you haven't, if you want to see some awesome freaking minis. Okay, so moving on from how pretty the game is, let's take a look here at the shipping update here. One of the problems is the Red Sea crisis here, this right here. So if you didn't know, normally ships go like this. They're like, hey, here's China, and they're like bloop, 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 and they come through this area here to get into Europe, right? On this like Suez Channel, super popular thing to do right through the Red Sea. Now the problem is that a lot of these people are like really angry with each other and junk, and there's a lot of like geopolitical stuff going on there that kind of common in that area of the world. And so they've decided to start shooting these and like catching containers on fire and blowing up ships and junk, and like it's like nasty. Like people are like losing product there, and of course it's dangerous for people to even go as well. So what they do now is they do this. They come here and they're like, actually, let's go all the way around Africa, all the way up there, and then meet up there. Now, that avoids this, nasty part of the world right now, but it also adds a lot of time and costs. So what's going on here? Shipping costs have risen sharply, but also the transit time to the EU UK is inevitably extended to 45 days instead of 25 days. So pretty much doubled the time, which actually, that's not that bad. I imagine they have to go slower here, right, through a lot of this, and this is like faster. So that's kind of cool. That I guess it's not as bad as it could be, but still quite bad, right? Also, freight costs more than 3.5 times higher because obviously it burns a lot more fuel and time and stuff like that. Additionally, prices on freight have actually gone up kind of like everywhere because if they're not sure like where the demand is for this and how long it'll last. That being said, they do not expect this to be permanent. This is expected to be a temporary thing. Of course, who knows, right? Either way, if you're in Europe, expect some things to get delayed, definitely. If your game was on one of the things that like got fired on, like that sucks. Obviously, I don't know what the solution is to that, but most of them are now just avoiding that, not going through there because them's area be dangerous, right? Okay, so the freight costs elsewhere though is kind of worrisome. Now, luckily, this is mostly just a delay, right? But if it does progress and keep going on, that could be really bad. So yeah, obviously, stay tuned. Ask anybody that maybe is delivering you a game, see what's going on there. Now, I have 2 more updates. Before I do the final update on here, I do have this, and I figured I'd include it in here because it's not worth just an unboxing. This is what I got from Middara. It's like the only thing I ordered because I already have a lot of Middara. And a lot's coming. But they offer some really cool bags. And I was like, you know what? I'll get some cool bags. So they have drawstring bags for like all of these characters. That's like super cool that they're all themed so you can keep all your stuff there and like save it. And they're like really big. I didn't realize they were this big when I ordered them. Like that's actually really nice. So they're pretty thin, but not like see-through or anything like that. They're quite smooth. I love that I can reach my whole hand in here, by the way. That's super helpful. It actually seems quite nice. Like the material's nice. It's nice and smooth. The cinch is nice. It flattens out good. The stitching's really good. Actually, I don't see any issues at all. There's a little bit of a fold line here on them, but the actual print is good. One thing that's cool, I just noticed this. So it's like zoomed in here and then zoomed out here. That's freaking sweet. I do like that. So yeah, I mean, there's a whole bunch of these, right? For like each character, which is awesome. It's cool to see that. I mean, I don't think it's actually every character, but it's quite a few, right? Quite a few. So that's cool. I like it. I probably want one for every character now. I would hate to put this in one that isn't the character that it should be, right? Like that would feel wrong. So anyway, those are cool. Last update. Dante Inferno. The reason I'm showing this is because I do have my early impressions. I have recorded the video, but it's not out yet because I share my early impressions with my patrons and YouTube members. So if you want to see those early, you can feel free to join those and, you know, get a few other benefits, get some behind the scenes, but also, of course, support the channel, guys. Thank you so much. Every link down in the description below is there for you, and there are a ton, way more than I covered in this video. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope it helped you. Hope it made you a more well-informed consumer so you can make the right decision for you on where to put your hard-earned dollars. Guys, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day. Take care. Bye, guys.